Hello listeners, this is Amogate Radio Communication. I am Titilola Ogushono and welcome you to another expository and exciting episode of our program series, Talent Attraction and Retention Strategies. Today, we'll be discussing what a corporate culture is. We'll be looking at the key components of a strong and positive corporate culture, the merit that would accrue to an organization from building a strong and positive corporate culture, and we'll go further to look at those cultural practices that would help attract talent to an organization. What do I mean by a corporate culture? This refers to shared values, beliefs, and behavior that is peculiar to an organization. It speaks to how employees interact with one another in an organization, also management relationship with employees with management, the working environment in totality. It incorporates both written and unwritten rules in an organization. There are some cultural practices in an organization that is prevalent, that is different from what is written on paper. So when you talk about the corporate culture, we are talking about the DNA of organization. How are you perceived by people? How do you relate with both internal stakeholders and your external stakeholders? If we're talking about the employee experience, how do they feel in your organization? Now, it's interesting that you could have both positive corporate culture in terms of having a very strong corporate culture, and you could also have negative corporate culture where people do not feel valued, where people do not feel a part of the organization, where people feel demotivated, and definitely a demotivated employee would be disengaged. So a corporate culture speaks to your totality as an organization, how people relate with one another, how they feel in your organization, how even your external stakeholders, how they perceive you. It speaks so much to your culture as an organization. It's important to note that your corporate culture could either be one of the strategies to attracting top talent across the globe to your organization. We are advocating that an organization should strive to build a strong and positive corporate culture. What are the benefits that will accrue to you? Yes, the first is that a strong and positive corporate culture helps to enrich an employee's experience. It makes his or her journey in your organization a memorable and enjoyable one. It makes it unforgettable, so that they do not want to even leave your organization. Once the behavior, the practices, what is being carried out in your organization, it's positive. It makes them feel at home. You are going to get that loyalty. That's the truth. The employee's experience is important because they become strong advocates for you. They are existing talent in your organization. They also have, colleagues out there. They have contemporaries out there. They know the talent out there that you also need. They interface with them. And when they become advocates for you, they can, be your brand ambassadors. That's what it does for you. So you need to strive to build that corporate culture that would help to enrich an employee experience. I've met people doing exit, when we carry out exit interviews for them, when they leave an organization, you realize that even while they were in the organization, they were already disengaged. They were not happy with the cultural practices there, though what is written on paper in terms of cultural, the core values is actually different from what is being practiced in the organization. So if you do it well, if you have a very strong corporate culture, you are going to make the employee experience also, so that they become brand ambassadors for you. And I will say, use unpaid brand ambassadors. You don't have to pay them specially for it. They are out there, marketing your brand positively. Okay. Now, why do we need to build a positive and strong corporate culture? Another thing why you need to do that is that it makes employees feel safe and secure. When they have that psychological safety, when they feel that in an environment where they will not be victimized, an environment where they would be themselves, an environment where they will not be discriminated against, you can get the best from such employees. And remember, we are talking about retaining talent. You are not the only firm, you are not the only organization in the industry, and definitely your location in your country is not the only location of other companies along the globe that would have access to this talent. So you need to make sure that you build an environment where employees, where your existing talent feel safe and secure. And that is what a strong and positive culture does for you as an organization. And I would say that having this kind of culture, having this kind of positive culture does not happen accidentally. It is done strategically. You have to be intentional about it. It's an intentional journey. It's not a journey that you just start. And I call it a journey because there are processes, there are practices that you have to keep doing. Ongoing is an ing, is a going concern. That's why I say that, that's one of the merit of building a positive and strong corporate culture as an organization. Another one is that your talent, both existing and even potential candidates, will feel valued and respected. I don't want to stay in a place where I'm not being heard. I don't want to stay in a place where I'm not being valued. I don't want to be staying in a place, even the word is, where I'm not being celebrated. My efforts should count. I should be celebrated. Employees, I'm not saying a celebration with so much money, there will be a cost to the organization, but you're going to speak to what kind of reward and consequences management framework that you have in your organization. And when you talk about best cultural practices, definitely you are looking at effective and efficient reward and consequences management practices in your organization. What does it do to you again when you have a positive and strong corporate culture? I've said it again, it leads to employee motivation and engagement. You get them to a point when they feel a part of it, they own the process, they own your vision, they run with it, they give all their best in ensuring that the set goals of an organization are being achieved. And of course, it helps to maintain a positive workplace culture, and this will help to increase your rate of customer satisfaction. A demotivated employee cannot satisfy any client. An uninterested employee cannot build the interest of your customers. A dissatisfied employee is not likely to satisfy your customer. So there is a positive relation between the level of engagement and motivation of your workforce and with the level of satisfaction of your customers. So if we look at it in this line, that there is a direct relationship between the two, the higher that level of motivation, definitely the higher the level of satisfaction of your customers. So if you look at it at this direct relationship, it's enough for any organization to be serious about going back to look at those cultural practices that would enhance your employees, your workforce, to continue to operate at the peak of performance, so that your customer satisfaction rating can keep soaring higher. And what does it do to you? What does it do for you as an organization? Definitely, it's going to increase your level of productivity, and when this increases, definitely it's going to increase your return on investment in terms of your profitability level. And every organization, you would want to, increase that level of profitability. And of course, also the financial expert will talk about shareholders' wealth maximization. So these are some of the benefits that would accrue to you as an organization if you build a positive and strong corporate culture. A strong corporate culture would help an organization build or increase employee retention rates. Employee retention is a focal point for most employers of labor in recent times. So organizations will continue to devise strategies and deploy their resources to retaining top talent. So if you get your corporate culture right, your employee retention rate would be on the increase. If you are just joining us, thank you so much for joining. We are looking at cultural practices that would enhance talent attraction, and we have spoken to what a corporate culture is, what are the benefits or merits that an organization would get from building a positive and strong corporate culture. So let's move on now. Let's look at those areas. So let's look at the first step that an organization can take in building the right cultural practices. The first step I'm going to talk about today is you must define your core values. I will take it again, defining your core values as an organization. You must identify the values that capture the distinctive character of your organization. What distinguishes you from competition? You have to go back to the brainstorming room as an organization to look at your core values again. Now, in reality, your core values should not be, at par, should not be different from your vision or mission statement. Instead, your core values should align with your mission and vision statement. If, for instance, my vision is to be the most innovative company in a particular industry or within a particular region, definitely my core values, I should look at values that would enable me to be the most innovative company, organization in that industry. Now, I would expect that if for an organization that is striving to be the most innovative organization, then definitely one of your core values should be innovation. So it means that your cultural practices, your employees must be innovative. You must recruit employees that are innovative naturally by nature and even by nurture. You must your reward and consequences management system must reward those that are innovative, and those who fail to be innovative, there must be consequences management for them. But that starts with defining your core values. That starts with looking at your organization and saying what distinguishes me from competition. So if you want to be on top of the game, you are going to go back to the brainstorming session. What I usually advise is you have heads of different units, take them to the strategy room, look at your vision statement, look at your mission statement, how do we achieve vision statement, and from there, you now couch out your core values. And I always say that your core values should not be more than 4 or 5. Now, some will say 7 or 8. You don't chase too many things. It is called core values because these are what the values are crucial to the survival of your organization. So if it is core and it's strategic in nature, you don't need to have many core values. But you must core values, the main thing that aligns with achievement of your vision and mission statement. Because gone are the days when a major motivating factor for employees was the paycheck, was the salaries, was the wages. It has changed. Employees of today around the globe, they want more than a paycheck. They're interested in a place that aligns with their beliefs and values. So you can't talk about the beliefs and values of employees, of talent, when you have not even taken your time to be intentional, to be deliberate and strategic with couching out your core values. Now, for an organization already in existence and you have your core values already in place, it's time to revisit your core values. Look at those core values and ask yourself, does this enhance my position as an organization? Does it give me that competitive edge as an organization? These core values that I have, how do I live those core values? These core values, are they crucial to today's talent around the globe? Because your core values as an organization will reveal what is important to you. It's what is called to you. It's your DNA. It's your identity. And again, this gives potential candidates an idea of how they'll be treated, what to expect. And it's one of the strategies to attract the top talent. So for instance, if one of your core values is learning and development, it means as an organization, you are prioritizing learning and development and you don't joke with it. It is called to you. It's called to your vision. It's called to achieving everything that you want to set in terms of goals as an organization. So a talent, an employee or a potential candidate that has his or her individual values, as one of the priority as learning and development. Definitely that kind of talent want to align with organization. We want to work with organization. But if you have failed to even come up with it, if you have failed to let them know what to stand for, it might be a bit challenging attracting the right talent to your organization. Why is it important to define your core values? There are startling statistics around the globe that has revealed the importance of defining your core values as an organization. There was a survey done by Deloitte which revealed that 94% of executives and 88% of employees believe that a distinct corporate culture is important to an organization's success. So you can look at that and it's 94%. So it means that even at the level of those making the decisions, they see core values as being crucial to their success and organization. And even at the level of employees working for the organization, the 88% of them also validated that claim that corporate culture is important to organizational success. It's important to, and you can't get organizational success without getting the engagement of your people. So you can see how crucial defining your core values, having the right corporate culture is to an organization. Why is it also important that you share your corporate values, your corporate culture with your employees? There was another survey that was carried out by LinkedIn and realized that 59% of respondents in Europe stated that they wouldn't work for an organization that doesn't share their values. So even it's not enough for you to even have your values. It's important that you are deliberate about communicating these values. So if we have 59% saying that they'll base their decision to work with you based on how efficient you're able to communicate your values to them, it means that if you do not communicate your values to them, you have already lost 59% of the talent options that you could have to work in your organization. And I also say it's not just about pay. Cultural values goes beyond the paycheck. It goes by learning and development opportunities, the way they are treated, the DEI issues, communication issues in organization, even compensation and benefits, a lot of factors, the whole working environment, the ambience, work-life balance. So another one about the pay issue, say 55% also revealed that an increase in salaries and wages would not motivate them to change their mind. That even when you increase the salaries, the pay rise, the paycheck, it's not going to be enough for them to change about their mind. So you can see, this statistics is revealing what people prioritize. Your values and organization is critical, is crucial for talent when they're making up their mind of where to work. And this statistics is not peculiar to Europe alone. We have also 68% of employees in Ireland, Germany, France, and UK also collaborated earlier findings, and they will only work for organizations that shared their values. And it's more interesting that even in the US and in Brazil, it's very high. We have 87% and even 85% in Brazil. So you need to define it because it's becoming more prevalent among the younger generation. They want to know what your core values are. They want to, because they are aware of what they value, they are aware of what is core to them. They want to see an alignment, between their own individual values and your corporate identity. They want real issues. Their business, some are even bothered about what is your standards as regards business ethics, diversity, equity, and inclusion issues. They would want to stand about environmental issues. They want to see an organization that gives everyone equal opportunity, regardless of gender, sexuality, race, social class, or nationality. They just don't want to see this on paper. They want to feel that when they work with your organization. They want testimonials for people that have worked with you that can testify that your cultural values are real, not just your core values on paper. You are finding a way to incorporate them into your day-to-day operations. You are finding a way to incorporate them in dealings with your internal stakeholders, external stakeholders, with your talent. What you say you are on paper in terms of your core values, are actually what you practice. I always say that my definition of core values is that effectively lived values becomes the culture of the organization. When you write it on paper, you must define means and your processes, your systems, your structure finds a way to accommodate it so that your cultural values are inherent in it, your core values are inherent in it, and becomes the culture of the organization. And don't forget that the younger generation, this set of talents evolving around now this age, want to see you deploy your resources deliberately to ensure that these core values are lived. They want to see it. If you have agreed on your core values, narrow down to 4 to 5 core values: team spirit, innovation, creativity, excellence, integrity, sustainability, whatever core values you have narrowed down to as an organization. But you must ensure, like I said earlier, that it's core to achieving your vision and mission statement of your organization. What then do you do? I would say that what you do after defining your core values, what are the practical steps to take, is that you must communicate these values. You must be strategic, deliberate, intentional about communicating these values. We have earlier discussed how the younger generation hold sharing of values very dear when it comes to making a decision to work with an organization. So you have to be deliberate. What are those ways by which you can communicate your core values? You have your career site. I would advise that you use very attractive visuals to review your values. We have potential candidates, we have potential employees that want to work with you, talent around the globe. You must be very deliberate about communicating to them. The highlight of those cultural elements in your organization that stands you out from competition. You can also get testimonials from your existing talent to share what their experiences have been with working with you. This goes a long way. You see that now cajoled, they are happy talking about their experiences. You must, like I said, you must communicate. If I do not know about you, how do I want to celebrate your successes? So you must market yourself, market your core values, because remember, you are trying to attract top talent and even keep your existing ones to continue to work with your organization. You must show what it is like to work for your organization. There must be something they are looking forward to that will motivate them to work with you. Now, what's the second way in communicating these values? You can use your job boards. Another one, you also have the social media handles. You must leverage on all of these handles: the Twitter, the Instagram, your Facebook, TikTok pages. You must leverage to showcase your culture. And I always say that the power of visuals is very strong, so must be very short videos, graphics that will put your highlights out there. Another way the organization can communicate your values, seamlessly, is I say that your interview sessions. a great opportunity for showcasing your organization culture. It gives an opportunity to inform candidates about what stands you out for competition. Is it being an innovative firm? Is it team dynamics that stands you out? Is it flexible work hours in terms of work-life balance? Whatever it is that stands you out from competition is the time, to showcase it during your interview session. Now, sometimes how we give feedback in interview sessions matter. If you are the type, that would be a bit harsh, I'm not saying don't be firm, but you don't have to be harsh. If you are the type that will just, the team that will just frown all through and it's a very stiff and unconducive atmosphere, definitely such a client, you are telling that such a candidate, you are telling that candidate, when you choose to work with us, expect this from us. And when the client is very uncomfortable, the candidate is very uncomfortable, and you are not even noticing that, you are telling the candidate that don't bother to come into the system because we are just an organization that lacks emotional intelligence. Please, how you live your values, you need to communicate, doing interviews, not even just by letting them know through words of mouth, but also letting them have a feel of what it takes to work with your organization. How do you communicate your core values to potential employees and existing employees? I would say that I must leverage an effective onboarding program. You must ensure that you create onboarding programs that would incorporate your organization's core value. It's a very good start once they are coming in for you to showcase your core values to them. It gives you the opportunity as an organization to immerse newly recruited talent into your organizational culture. I say get them in early, and that is the best time when you can get them in, let them know what your core values are, what your cultural values are, and those practices are, what you owe dear to yourself as an organization. These are things that are non-negotiable. You do not joke with. So the best time in communicating, sharing these values will be doing the onboarding programs. In fact, you can even communicate your core values on employee dashboards, find ways to make the values attractive to them. And it's also important that as an organization, you must seek feedback on how effective these values are being practiced in the organization. The mistake you are going to make as top management, top executive in the organization is to assume that those values are effectively lived. What you do not monitor, you cannot measure effectively. So it's important that you find ways to seek feedback. How effective have you been able to live your core values? So that when you get this information from them, it helps you in deploying more measures, if where need be, in ensuring that these core values are effectively lived in the case when you find out surveys that they're not being effectively lived. So you have defined your core values. You have spoken about how do you communicate these core values to your potential employees as your candidates. Continue to communicate to your existing employees, and you have communicated that to them. What next do you do? I would also advise that you develop a culture fit interview process. You must be deliberate about it. You must design an interview process that would evaluate candidates' individual core values for possible alignment with your organization's core values. You do not want to hire someone that is a cultural misfit for your organization. We have technical competencies, we have behavioral competencies. At the stage of the interview process, you must be deliberate about, finding ways to evaluate individual core values, so that at that point you're already looking at an alignment, between the individual, their core values with yours. So if at that stage you discover that a misfit in terms of your culture, irrespective of the level of technical competence, intelligence level that they could have, it's better you do not bring them on board. During interview sessions, it gives you the opportunity, to assess their behavioral patterns. It gives you the opportunity to ask probing situational questions, which is core to your values. If you have not defined your core values as an organization, you're going to be asking generic questions during your interview session. But because you know what is called to you, so definitely your assessment, your tools of assessment, of evaluation of the client, you are trying to elicit information about that individual values. And you realize that there is an alignment with your core values. So you are going to be asking situational questions. If what is called to you in integrity, then definitely you are going to test that level of faithfulness, that level of integrity. Ask them questions of how they have handled, fraudulent transactions, or even handled. Most times I say don't ask direct questions. So you can't ask a candidate during an interview sessions that if there is an overage or you discover a fraud in organization, who do you tell? Has it happened to you? Did you tell? You find a way to lie about it. But there are ways where you can couch your questions that they will just be, it doesn't look like you are testing that core value of yours. And from there, you find out where the core values really lie. In addition to developing a culture fit interview process, is important that you include these core values as part of your behavioral competencies in your job description. When you are couching out job description for any role, for new hires in your organization, defining your core values allows you to incorporate them in every behavioral competencies that you have stated out for those roles. So if I'm looking for an accountant, be it a customer service officer, or I'm looking for an IT specialist, or I'm looking for supply chain, logistics manager, whoever I'm looking out for, whatever the unit, what is called to me, the core values must be part of the behavioral competencies for those roles. So it helps you, to attract the right talent. So for talent that will see all of those your behavioral competencies, they see those values, what is also called to them, it gives them, that motivation to even apply for the role in your organization. Putting the right cultural practices that would attract top talent across the globe to an organization is a journey. We have started this journey with this episode. However, I will draw the curtain here for today. We'll continue this journey next Friday, same time on AmorGate Radio Communication. Thank you so much for staying tuned to the end of today's episode. Hope you join us again next Friday. So for feedback, questions, comments, kindly send a mail to contact@theamorgate.org. If you have enjoyed or learned anything from this episode, kindly click the like button. And you can check us out on our social media handles: Facebook AmorGate, Instagram AmorGate, LinkedIn AmorGate. Thank you so much once again. Remember, effectively lived values becomes the culture of an organization. I remain yours, Titilola Ogunshono, saying bye from here.